During our Community Commonwealth Series conversation, we've delved into and had great conversations with individuals in the 757 that are doing phenomenal things in nonprofits, foundations, and businesses. Well, today we have with us a young female that's doing her part to make her mark here in Hampton Roads. It's Stay the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Claville, and stay tuned as we talk with Jaylyn Brown, the founder and CEO of the JB Agency. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's Stay the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Claville. As always, we want to thank you for joining us on this beautiful Sunday as we broadcast live from the campus of Norfolk State University, home of the Spartan Nation, from WNSB Hot 91, the soul of VA. As always, we have with us in studio our producer, DJ Scandalous, Marvin Folks, who keeps us right and tight on the wheels of steel. You can hear him every day, Monday through Friday from 2 to 6 p.m., Saturdays too. And look, he's the hardest working DJ here in the 757 because he's in studio with me now on Sunday morning. Listen, we hope that you're enjoying your time this Sunday as you go to church and on your commute or coming back from church, whatever the case may be. We thank you again for joining us because without you, we wouldn't be who we are or can do what we do. And I also have to give a shout out, as always, to the greatest alumni, faculty, staff, administration in the land of the Spartan Nation, the largest HBCU in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Look, Scandalous, we were together yesterday. You know, we were here doing the Howard game.
Had a blast.
Absolutely. Look, the bands performed. You know, the fifth quarter was absolutely amazing. And look, our football team is growing. I know we see a few struggles there, but they are definitely growing. Listen, not only that, but Spartan Madness kicked off. And let me tell you, we were predicted to win the MEAC. And listen, from what we saw last night, Marvin,
the fellas are looking great. Shouts out to Coach Jones. Man, I am excited. Can't wait to see the games coming real soon. November 7th, our first game.
Absolutely. Coach Jones, Coach Clemens, the whole staff, everybody, they're all doing their part. So we're excited for that. And look, as students, you finished up midterms, get ready to go into the second half, close it out strong. But listen, we have been going strong here on Stay the Water as we have been delving into 2 months. That's right. Talking with individuals in our area. How many persons would have known that we had so many people here in the 757 that are doing so many phenomenal things with their foundations, with their nonprofits, and with their businesses? Listen. When people say, look, Don Carey was on last week, he said, listen, people don't understand what we have here in Hampton Roads. We've got every single thing, and I am a testament to it. And I want to talk, today we have with us in studio. I'm excited because this is a person I've seen grow, a person I've seen really start to make her mark and not even reach her potential in what she's doing. And that's none other than Jaylyn Brown, the founder and CEO of the JB Agency. Jaylyn, so glad to have you here today.
Thanks for having me. It feels good to be in the studio.
Absolutely. It's great to have you here here on the campus of Norfolk State, here to talk with us about, you know, what you're doing and just really your growth. Now, I've known you for a while, but the audience here, I think they're really starting to get to know you because we've highlighted several individuals who are owners and founders and creators of foundations and so forth, and they've all said that the wheel in the middle of the wheel, the one that keeps it going, is Jaylyn Brown at JB Agency. So, you know, I want our audience to kind of find out exactly who you are. So, you know, tell us, Jaylyn Brown, why the JB Agency? Now, look, wow. I know that's a broad question, right?
It really is. It really really, really is. I'm very fortunate to have such great support with the clients and the individuals and nonprofits that I've been able to work with. At the JB agency, we really pride ourselves in being the premier service for those who are looking for PR, community relations assistance, events, and, branding and marketing. So I found my love for this industry at a very young age. And, I've been blessed to be in an area that has so much talent for me to tap into. So it's all kind of just fallen into place at the right time. Timing is everything. And I'm happy to share more. I am so honored that so many of your guests have mentioned me. So it's definitely exciting to be here and share a little bit more.
So when you talk about finding what you want to do at such a young age, tell us, what did you start out wanting to be? Because all of us had an idea what we wanted to be.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're doing what we're doing. So what was that moment where you said, you know what, this is what I want to do as opposed to what I plan to do?
So I originally wanted to be the person that you are on the mic all the time, in front of the camera.
Well, wait a minute. I'm not there all the time, right?
So that was what I thought that I wanted. And, fortunately, I had some amazing mentors who allowed me to kind of shadow them behind the scenes in the sports industry. And so I learned a lot more about player personnel and marketing and sponsorships and what it takes to bring a brand to its maximum potential. And once I realized, okay, I can do this and I can do it really, really well, I figured, why not make that shift? And I think what also helped was when I was working for certain athletes or certain nonprofits that serve athletes, they were referring me over and over again, like, oh, Jaylyn helped me with this. So that's who you need to really talk to. So, at that point, that's when I was like, okay, this is actually a broad service that I'm offering, and I really want to expand upon it.
So when you talk about working individual with clients, because a lot of times, a lot of individuals have jobs where they're working for a company, they're working for a state agency, they're working for a university, but they don't have that specific client like doctors or lawyers. But as an agent, what are some of the, I would say, opportunities? I don't like to say challenges, but what are some of the opportunities or we'll say challenges working for that specific client?
So I will first begin by making it clear I am not an agent. There is a very big difference between an agent and a publicist or a brand manager, which is what I so fall under. But I will say that for clients, they really get kind of a personable one-on-one experience where we start with them at the beginning of their career. For some of them, I've started, in their pre-draft process, and that may have applied to an NFL player or NBA, MLB, and then we kind of go through their phase as a current athlete, and then some of them are retired, but they all have different plans for their careers. They all have different things that they are passionate about. And so I really try to tap into what it is that makes them want to give back and what it is that makes them who they are and, what's important to them as a person. Because oftentimes, for the audience, these people are truly just entertainers. And so for me, I really like to tap into, okay, what is it that makes you the person that you are that everybody doesn't always have access to? And we kind of, broaden things from there.
So when you talk about that, you call yourself a boutique, publicist or branding firm. What are some of the clients that you've worked with and provided those boutique services for?
Well, I try to be humble, but
look, it is what it is, right?
Yeah, so I've worked with the Aaron Rouses, I've worked with the Derek Notties, I have worked with the Mike Tomlins, I have worked with the Howard Whites, and I work with Maya Shaka, the first Black female official in the National Football League. So those are just to name a few, but they are, the heavy hitters, not just in this area, but nationally as well. And like I said, I've been very fortunate. They're all very different and have very different needs, but it's been such an amazing journey, seeing them from when I first started working with them to where they are now. So it's very fun.
It's Stay the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Claville, and as we have continued on the last several months in our Community Commonwealth Conversation series, we've delved into conversations with individuals here in the Commonwealth and more specifically in the 757, doing great things in business, in their foundations and nonprofits. Today we have with us in studio Jaylyn Brown, who is the founder and CEO of the JB Agency, a boutique firm that handles high exclusive clients here in the Hampton Roads areas and beyond. So Jaylyn, when you talk about, handling with these heavy hitters, all right, what age were you when you first started working with your biggest client?
Ooh. Are you trying to show my age, Dr. Claville?
Well, actually, I didn't ask your age now. I know better than that.
I will say it was a couple years ago when I was granted the opportunity to work with Howard White, who is a heavy hitter, powerhouse, absolute legend. If you don't know his story, be sure to look it up. But in short, he cultivated brand Jordan with Michael Jordan from the ground up. And
straight out of Hampton, Virginia.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Kickotan High School. So I definitely kind of realized at that moment, this is getting a little tricky. This is getting, tricky in a good way. I'm very excited. And to have him say to me, I see your potential and I see all that you're going to be in the future at that age was kind of just monumental. And he's been such an amazing support, and I look up to him so much. And just all that he's accomplished is really amazing to even, say that I know him.
Absolutely. In this current day, we've saw a lot, especially in 2020. We've talked about it on this show. I've talked about it on my podcast, The Claville Report, and with my colleague, Lavisa and Claville, how, the 2020 Black Lives Matter movement really brought forth a lot of conversations about the lack of access to equity, business, and so forth, and struggles that African Americans in part and other individuals that struggle to receive the American dream. Something else that came out of that conversation was the discussion about women and women in business, women accessing the C-suite, breaking the glass ceiling. When you mention your work that you're doing with Maya Shaka, who is an alum of Norfolk State, and we have had her on the show as well, highlighting her foundation, which you helped to create and launch the first event for. How is it when you look at the first African American NFL referee represented by an African American female publicist? When you look at it from that lens, from that 30,000-foot view, right? What comes to mind?
Actually, I'm speechless when I think about it that way, because for me, this is someone who I talk to every day. This is someone who we brainstorm every day. We communicate all the time. There's never a time that we're not in tune with what the other person is thinking. So from the time we began working together, it was full steam ahead. She's not had a single break since the NFL announced, that she was going to be an on-field official. So we really haven't had that moment to sit back and say, wow, this is pretty cool. She is a history maker and I am as well. And it's great to be able to say that. And obviously she is so incredibly thankful for every bit of support. She's one of the most humble individuals I've ever met in my life, especially with what she's accomplished. But have I had that moment? No, I haven't. And it's simply because we've been working nonstop since the announcement.
Absolutely. So when we talk about work, a day in the life of a brand manager, public relations manager, right? So, from when it starts, all right, what happens? Well, what goes on behind it? Because we have a lot of people that are in strategic communications, that are in mass comm that says, hey, I want to do that. I want to be that person working with the persons behind the scenes, and I don't do that work, but I've worked with people that do it. I've been blessed to work, here, with people behind the scenes with the Pharrell Williams and people like that. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. It's a lot that goes into that work. So give our audience just a glimpse of what goes on behind the scenes.
Absolutely no day is identical to the day before. A lot of times you can plan to an extent what you might have to do. That might include media interviews or getting a press release out, or, it might be event season where you're planning to launch an event or you're building a nonprofit. Absolutely no day is the same. But I will say that for anyone who wants to build or, become part of this industry, you have to be able to adjust. You have to be comfortable with pivoting and making, last minute decisions. And you also have to be flexible and friendly and kind, because you never know when you're going to need someone to assist you with something. And, relationships are probably one of the largest parts of what I do, keeping and maintaining relationships with different industry leaders, different companies, different businesses, because a lot of times you'll want to engage them in what you're doing. And once they kind of create that positive rapport with you, they want you to come back and they want to say, hey, let's do this again together. So, I know that doesn't directly answer your question, but absolutely no day is the same. And Maya will tell you, my emails start very early in the morning. My calendar notices start very, very early, and they go very late. So definitely, be healthy and work out and get enough rest, because it's a busy, busy life.
Absolutely. So when you talk about the brand management, the services that you offer, because everybody you mentioned is a 757 legend, right? I mean, that, first of all, that's amazing within itself, But as we take a look at these services that are offered as a brand manager and so forth, tell us what goes into strategic communications, what goes into the event management and branding and marketing and community development. What goes into those?
Oh, I don't know if we have enough time for all of those things, but I'll start with the event management piece. When you have a client who says, hey, I want to put together a turkey giveaway for the entire community, and they give you a week to do it, it's kind of like, okay, yes. You don't really say no. You just say, how can we make this happen? And so you start with contacting, vendors, working with people on donations and sponsorships and volunteers, and seeing, who can help us make this day a success, because not having this day is not an option.
Right.
So for the event management piece, there are a lot of variables that go into it to make it a success. For the community relations piece, that is more so making sure that each one of my clients has some sort of passion and advocacy piece about them as it relates to their community. And for a lot of them, that is building a nonprofit. That is kind of making sure that, their mission is a separate entity. So, we've definitely worked with multiple people in building their nonprofits from the ground up. For the brand management and kind of image and marketing piece, it deals with working with other big brands, other companies, and saying, hey, how can we collaborate? How can we become long-term partners? And how can we make sure that, their fans or their audience, so to speak, kind of gets that firsthand look as to, okay, this person is more than an athlete. This person is more than a retired, athlete. And what can we do to make them a little bit more accessible? And so with strategic communications, we are always communicating every single day. I will say that for Maya specifically, who has so many speaking engagements and appearances, that is kind of where that comes in. The speeches, the interviews, everything that has to do with communicating with another person. Yeah. That's really kind of the most basic way that I can put it.
One of the first events that I attended that you were working with, and also your former partner, Melania, was the Hampton Roads Foundation camp.
Yes.
And my two little boys, they're not little boys now. they're almost grown men, but they participated in a football camp that was held. It was held on the peninsula, actually, at that time at CNU. I saw that, and I stood back and just watched the whole operation and said to myself, just scratching my head, like, there's no way, these two individuals could help put this thing together. Tell us about that event, because I think that's the longest event that you've worked with consistently.
For sure. Yeah. So the Hampton Roads Youth Foundation is, oh my gosh, so near and dear to me. The co-founders are Vernon Lee Jr. and Carl Francis, and it's the longest running youth football camp in the state of Virginia. It used to be William and Mary, but we knocked them off happily. So the camp itself
Sorry, Mike.
is a part of a weekend full of events. And, what I love most about it is that the events for the athletes are free, and we've definitely evolved. I mean, on day one, we typically partner with the Virginia Peninsula Food Bank, where, we go and serve lunch to a community that's, on the peninsula. On day two, we have now started to do a leadership symposium for high school athletes, giving them access to VPs of the Banks of America. And we've done different kind of like panels to give them access to things that they wouldn't normally have. And then Friday night has kind of changed over the years. We used to do a tailgate with Mike Tomlin. Then we kind of moved into VIP meet and greets and casino nights. And now it's kind of an invite-only special event on Friday night. Saturday morning is when we have our football camp, which again, that's evolved as well, because we used to have, one day for the itty bitties and one day for the high school athletes. And now we really focus on the growth of the high school athlete. So we bring out different NFL players. We've had, Stephen A. Smith and John Amos and, Michael from ESPN. We've just had so many incredible people not from this area who have heard about this camp, and they come and they're like, how do I be a part of this? This is amazing what you're doing. And so, for the athletes and for the parents that I've gotten to work with and communicate with over the years, it's such an integral part of their July. Like, they look forward to this every second weekend of July, and it's for us an amazing time. And then we wrap the weekend up with a celebrity bowling party. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but it's probably one of the most rewarding times working with the Hampton Roads Youth Foundation. It's an amazing organization. Absolutely.
And, when you talk about these events, of course, we know that that's near and dear. Tell us what you're working on now, or what you just finished working on, and how that event, especially you started working with foundations, and I think that's kind of where I want to start delving into. Working with boutique clients is one thing, but working with their foundations or creating foundations is a totally different entity, because I think you're not just dealing with one person, but now you're dealing with a vision to impact hundreds, if not thousands of people, and a lot of times thousands of families, especially with the turkey giveaways, and thousands of young people and teachers with Maya's Foundation. So tell us about the difference in working with those two, and what do you find as the satisfaction in dealing with that?
I think the difference is that, between maybe an Aaron Rouse, whose foundation is Rouse's House, and Amaya Shaka, whose foundation is Make Meaningful Change, they come from two completely different kind of upbringings in a way. And for Aaron, it was always extremely important to him to give back to the community in which he grew up in. And for Maya, she is a veteran educator of 15 years. So she kind of has a different lens as to the needs of students. It might not always be school supplies. It might just be, hey, do you have $15 so that I can have dinner tomorrow? There's a very different need, and they kind of have two very different missions. And so we just wrapped at the beginning of September. Maya celebrated the launch of her nonprofit, and, to kick it off, she had an event for educators, and it wasn't just a Peninsula educators or Southside educators. It was everybody. That was extremely important to her to bring everyone together, because as an educator, she kind of has seen the division, when it comes to Hampton Roads. And she was very adamant about, look, we are one region. Yes, there's a tunnel and a bridge that separates us, but there's no reason. I
drive it every day, by the
way. There's no reason why we shouldn't be helping each other, pouring into each other, celebrating each other. So while she's very passionate about educators, she's passionate about evolving and the advancement of disadvantaged youth as well. And Aaron is too. It's really, they kind of have, similar visions, but different still.
Yeah, but definitely impacting the community. I had an opportunity to attend and both of them and work with one. And let me tell you, you'll be surprised who's out there that needs a hand up. I never say a handout, right? Because there's no way you can pull yourself up by your own bootstraps by yourself, because somebody had to give you the boots, somebody had to give you the straps, somebody had to show you how to tie them. So you never know how many people are out there and who they are that just need a hand up and also a pat on the back to say, good job, you're doing a phenomenal job. And to me, that's what those foundations and others are really all about. And the work that you're doing is phenomenal, making that go around. The wheel in the middle of the wheel, making it all work. So in our final moments, tell us where our audience can learn more about you, the founder, what you've done, and for those that are listening that say, hey, our corporation, our business, our foundation want to take it to the next level and want to engage, the JB agency. Where can they find more about you?
Sure. So I will definitely provide the link to our website so that your listeners can, get access there. We're also on Instagram at the JB Agency. Lately, we've been providing kind of a behind the scenes look at what a game day looks like, getting ready. So that's been a lot of fun. People have really enjoyed that. But I'm pretty reachable. People will tell you, it's one of the best parts about working with me is that you can almost always get in touch with me. And, I just find that to be extremely important, communication and making sure that everybody is on the same page. But happy to talk with anybody who kind of wants to learn more and wants to kind of understand what goes on at the JB Agency, or if they have somebody who kind of needs the services, definitely happy to chat.
And what's that website again?
thejbagency.com.
thejbagency.com. Once again, someone who's making her mark in the 757 Hampton Roads and beyond, working with our legends here in the area and beyond, making sure that what they do it very well. That's Jaylyn Brown, founder and CEO of the JB Agency, someone I've known for a very long time, and so very proud and happy of her progress, and even haven't started to reach her potential. So watch out for this rising star. You've been listening to Stay the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Claville, where we bring movers, shakers, and policymakers to you to discuss issues important to the community. Join us next Sunday as we engage in our annual Get Out the Vote show. That's right. It's voting time. So make sure that you're paying attention to the candidates of your choice, the issues in your community, and you are exercising your right to vote. Early voting ends today. You can go out and vote today. Go to the registrar's office and vote. You can also vote on the day of election. So make sure, again, you exercise your right to vote. Just like always, go out, be great, do great things, because it's God that gives us the strength to do it. And as we like to say here, and I believe, to God be the glory for all that he has done. God bless. We'll see you next week.